G'day and welcome to Inforunners. I'm Execute. Today I'm joined by Algared. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good.
Good.
And this is a really pertinent topic today, I think.
Yeah, I think so. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a. It's almost like a tier list, but it's not. Where ships that we believe that are good to buy right now and ships that are earning game. And I think, honestly, I don't know about you, Agate. I think this is a list that we could almost do in 12 months' time as well. As more gameplay comes online, it's definitely going to change. So we may have to call this the 2021 version and do another one down the list.
That's true.
So
Before we go any further,
I've got a couple of things I want to talk about. So there's some little housekeeping stuff. I'm looking for an Australian lawyer that plays Star Citizen. I have an idea for a show, and if you're an Australian listener, or you know someone in your org that is an Australian lawyer and they play Star Citizen, I've got a couple of questions I'd like to run by them. So if you could reach out to me on Discord, I'd really, really appreciate it. I have found an American lawyer, and I've been talking to him, and we've got some interesting things to talk to him about. I also managed to find a geologist and a miner, so we'll be doing an episode on mining by the people that actually do it as a profession. If you saw the search and rescue episode and the medical one, you'll know where I'm going with that. If you know anyone else that is into a profession that is also in game, please feel free to reach out and put me in contact with them, because we're looking to do more of those because they were very interesting.
and the idea of those really is looking at the profession and getting the people who do those things in real life saying, hey, wouldn't it be good to go this way? Or these are the types of things I'd like to see, and looking at the possible extension of gameplay loops.
I'll let you talk about this one too. Apparently
All
I
right.
moved it to the center of the screen by accident, but yeah, go for it.
Oh, we also have Jaden. Jaden is an ex-serviceman in the US. He is no longer with us. He has since died. But his mate had bought him an F7A upgrade and a Super Hornet. And what he'd love is to give that away. He doesn't want to just melt it and use it for else. He really feels attached to that sense. And having that F7A and Super Hornet in game kind of gives him that feeling that his mate's still around.
Yeah.
And so he came to us and said, look, I support you guys. I love your show. I want to give this away. We said, awesome. We'll plug it. So if you want to be in a chance to get that, hashtag Jaden in the comments. Be respectful, be polite, and leave a comment, and you'll be in the run for that. When we get to 10,000, 15,000.
No.
12.
You'll get there eventually.
15,000.
I think we said 12,500. So we're less than
2,500 backers.
Subscribers to go. But yeah, so yeah, we want it to show it off for a while. So yeah, but, yeah, it's definitely a good prize to win because those things are not cheap at the moment.
Yeah, certainly the F7A upgrade. And the F7A upgrade was actually, when it was first brought out, to support veterans. And so it really is a good thing to get behind, because it does help support, in the long run, it's saying, yes, I support veterans.
So we're bringing back the well-known little red circle today. We haven't seen this boy in a while. And I did try to figure out how to do this where we could color code it and name it, but the easiest way to simply do it is go through and just talk about them one by one. So unfortunately, if you want to cut through and kind of look at the whole end of the list at the end, there isn't one. But what we might do is I might make up a Google Doc or something like that and chuck it in the description below. So if you do want to cheat or come back to it at a future reference, you can do so. But yeah, at this point, unfortunately, I have to do it on the fly. So I'm not doing this to extend the video. I could, but we're doing it because it's just easier to do it that way. Yeah. So 100 series. What are the perks for you at the moment for this ship in game? If any?
The 100 series does have perks. The biggest perk of 100 series is it can be spawned at the Platinum Bay landing pads at every outpost.
Yep.
That is a huge bonus.
I think
that's probably the biggest one and the only one.
Yeah. I still think for me, like the main thing that the 100 does is kind of cargo and stuff, and for me
Mm.
there are bigger and better ships that do that better. For me at the moment, it is definitely again being cheaper, it is definitely an earning game for me. Piggles,
Yep.
I am looking at you, Sir Piggles. He went out and brought one of these, and I've been telling you off ever since.
Oh, look, the other thing with it is that because it's wheelbase, like even though the size, the length, and the width would fit in a Carrick, because of the wheels, it's too high. Doesn't fit. It doesn't even fit in a Carrick.
Yep.
It's effectively a snub ship, but yeah, it's for me, it's a buying game.
300 series. Again, I think it kind of falls into a very similar category as the 100. I think if you do like your fighters though, the 325A might give you a little bit more variety there. Again, this is probably going to be a recurring theme for me, but a lot of the ships are so cheap you might as well buy them in game, unless they've got a really unique feature, and that'll probably be more evident when we get up to certain ships, and I'll talk about that when we get to them.
Yep.
Same
For me, the 300 series, almost identical to an Avenger, certainly as a starter ship. So if
Yep.
you're looking for a really good starter ship, 300 series or an Avenger, but be aware the 300 costs more than the Avenger, so it's a buying game.
600i, exploring and touring, or 600 series, I guess what you should call it for consistency. But yeah, again, it's similar to a Constellation, stuff like that. You can do a variety of missions. I would have no problem with someone buying this now, especially if they're an Origin fanboy. Yeah, what's your take on that one?
As a combat ship, the loadout and weapons available to the pilot are actually really good. But I hate the interior, and the only redeeming feature for me is the fact that they've said the interior is getting redone. But as you said, if you're after that bigger ship that can be multi-crew, this is a ship that is worthwhile getting in game. If you're a real fanboy, yeah, get it now. But
not to kind of bury the lead or anything here, but the 85X will be very similar to the M50 for me. I think the M50 is probably even in a better place because at least you can race with it and stuff like that. But yeah, 85X does not really offer anything at the moment. It is like akin to a shuttle. There's not a lot you can do with it. It's a great little ship. It looks great, but just no gameplay functionality whatsoever. For me, it's 100% earning game, and even then, I don't know what much you can do with it at the moment. So yeah, same for you, or
without having cargo space, but only a passenger space, the 85X really is a buying game. Unfortunately, the 85X was originally envisaged as the 890 Jumps snub ship, and if you bought an 890 Jump, you actually get an 85X as a free ship. 85X by itself, buying game.
Yep. All right. A2 Hercules.
Well, the 890 Jump.
Did I skip? Yeah, I did. The least
You
important
did.
ship in this entire list. No, look, again, very obviously, you can earn it in game right now, but honestly, there is quite a fair bit you can still do with this ship. It's probably my favorite Origin ship. Yeah, I would have no problem with someone buying this, but to use now. I've got no problem with that at all.
I think the value of the 890 Jump, if you buy it now, is the fact that you get the 85X. I do love the 890 Jump. It's certainly, if you were able to get the 890 Jump concept, then you've got a bargain. I do struggle with the 890 Jump's current price at $980, because it's just under that threshold where it gets lifetime insurance. And those big ships, I think you want the LTI. So I'm torn on this one, but if you want to spend the 890 or the $980 on an 890 Jump and get an 85X, go for it.
I'm going to speed this up a little bit, Algared. We're 5 in and we've taken almost 10 minutes. So we're going to speed this up a little bit. All right. So A2 for me, it's in a really weird place, and I like, when we talk about some ships, how the in-game, out-game pricing, I have a sneaking suspicion this is going to be one of those ships that is a lot cheaper than it is in real-world dollars. So I am kind of interested to see where this lands when it finally comes out, but for me it is very much an in-game ship because that thing is overpriced as shit.
I like Crusader ships, but I think I'd agree.
Yep. Apollo, I guess we could almost put these two together. So the Apollo, where do you sit
Mm.
on Apollo?
I have always liked RSI ships. I really like the look of the Apollo. To me, it's a cut down Connie. It gives it a better look. The fact that it's got the medical gameplay, it's not
Yep.
really a pew pew ship for me, ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
So
So
I think it's overpriced. But
that said, as you said, medical gameplay coming online, it'll probably be one of the first ships to get that stuff. So for me, I could see the buy-in now, but also you could trade up into it at a later date as well. So for me, it walks the line, and I think you could go either way there. Aurora Series, for me, 100% in game. It's just so cheap. It's one of the cheapest ships in the whole game.
yeah,
Your take on that?
the only Aurora you should ever pay money for is an MR in a starter pack.
That's it. Yep. If you just want to get the Bane plastic no frills, he's 100% accurate in that. I think the Avenger series, for me, is the one that we tend to recommend here. So I'd fall into that as well. But as soon as you have a bigger ship, it's an earning game.
Yeah. Again, we think best value starter pack is the Avenger Titan. 300 series, slightly more expensive, but same boat. But yeah, same as Execute said, earning game.
100% earning game for me. The Blade is just seriously overpriced for what it is.
Yeah, it's got the alien tax, buying game, and it's a Spear, so it's human made, so it's not really going to be rare.
Yeah. So now when we go into the Buccaneer to me is almost like a Blade adjacent, but the funny thing is it's just not as overpriced. So if you are really into combat and that is your jam, this is an acceptable thing to buy now. But you have to be into it. And again, the ship might not hold its value, but have an exit strategy. And you'll hear me say that a lot today. Have an exit strategy. So yeah, Algared, your thoughts on the Buccaneer?
I've never really liked the Buccaneer. It's always, while it's felt tough in the guns, it's always felt paper thin. That's just my perspective. For me, it's a buying game.
Yeah. Opinion is going to come in here a lot today, but I'm trying to put my whole what can we do in game now hat on, so to speak. So with that in mind, the C2 Hercules, the release is just around the corner. If you are very much into cargo, if you have any interest in the tank that's also coming, buy it now. Again, if you're worried about it, have an exit strategy. Algared.
Given that at the moment when the tank comes in, I think it will be the only ship that can actually in game that can actually, apart from the 890, that can carry the tank. Buy it in game, but like you said, have an exit strategy. Yeah. I'm not sure it's going to be worth buying now in terms of cash value.
I think also it'll definitely in the future it won't be the only ship that can carry tanks. I can think of at least 2 or 3 off the top of my head, but anyway.
But we're already online, yeah.
Caterpillar. At the moment, it is the cargo ship of choice, but I think it's about to be equaled with the C2 Hercules. The C2 Hercules has a little bit more cargo, but the M2 actually has less cargo. So, quite honestly, to me, if you've heard me talk about the Caterpillar, it's probably got better long-term appeal than the Hercules. So I put it in at the moment both in that now category if you want to play it, but also they are available to earn in game. You kind of have to weigh that up for yourself. Like, do I have a bigger ship than the Caterpillar? Then earn it in game. You can use that bigger ship right now to earn something in game. But for me, it'd be if this was the only ship you owned, or you had a smaller ship than this, that would be an acceptable thing for you to purchase. Now for me,
at the price point of a Caterpillar, which I think is 195, or is it 295?
295, and the Hercules is
295.
I think like 360. So
yeah, and the Caterpillar at that price, given the versatility that it should have, if it gets modules, just is great. Even without modules, I think if that's the only ship you're going to have, it gives you the ability to earn other things really quickly.
All right, so onto the Constellation. Now, I'm going to try and link these together, Algared, but what we're going to do is talk about them individually as well. So for me, the Andromeda is really combat capable. There's not a lot of exploring options at the moment, so the Aquila kind of, for me, goes out of that buy now category. The Phoenix, for me, is kind of in a similar spot. You can use it for a bit of combat, but it's somewhere between the Aquila and the Andromeda. Actually, it's the Taurus out of all of them that I think is the most buy now, because we know that the cargo stuff's coming online later this year, and it's also it's in a really it feels a bit like a Freelancer Max. So if you're into that cargo gameplay, I think the most popular one at the moment is the Taurus. But my favorite of the series is the Andromeda. So I also think it's got a bit more long-term appeal.
Yeah, well, I think the Andromeda being the original is it's kind of got that heart. It tugs at our heartstrings. The Aquila, when exploration comes on, is going to be great. I think. I think it's the fact that it's got the jump point mapping sensors, the fact that it's got the Ursa, the fact that it's got the P-52, all add into that. The Phoenix, it's gimped at the moment. It's missing its third turret. It's missing the Lynx rover.
That'd really bring it up a notch too in the combat department.
Yeah. If you're after a combat ship, I think the Andromeda is a really good option. Certainly with the fact that you can now actually launch a P-52. So if you've got a mate, you can be flying around with the Andromeda using the size 4 guns. Your mate can be in the P-52 or P-72 flying around supporting you. So
yeah, 100%. Now the Corsair for me is an interesting one because we even talked about this in the FMF we recorded yesterday that won't be out till later this week. But that could literally rival the Constellation series. It just really depends where it sits, and a lot of it comes back to full on those turrets on either side of the ship. So for me at the moment, I'd be one of those people that have a ship underneath this with a CCU ready to go in case it is as cool as we all hope it will be. But for me, it's a gamble at the moment. It's a gamble. Your thoughts?
Yeah. For me, even though it's cheaper than the Constellation Andromeda,
it's not by much, by the way. It's only $10 cheaper. It's not that much cheaper. Yeah.
But considering supposedly the Explorer version, which means it's really competing with the Aquila, but it doesn't have the same benefits that the Andromeda. Even the Andromeda's got the P-52, and that gives more gameplay for you and your mate.
Someone's been reading the Drake propaganda pamphlets and just taken the whole Explorer pill. No, I don't think that's exploring. It's the inside of your ship.
But, because the Andromeda's got the P-52 and the Corsair doesn't, if you've got a mate and you want to fly around and you want that option and the variety of gameplay, the Constellation trumps the Corsair every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yep.
So that would be a buying game for me.
Yep. Oh boy, we got to speed this up. All right, Crucible.
Buy now.
Yeah, by now it's going to increase in value, like we've talked about to the cows come home. Cutlass Series, really good at the moment in game. I just think again long term, no. So yes, no, Algared. I'll just give you. I'll rapid fire
Cutlass
on some.
Cutlass Black in game blue. Cutlass Black buy now if you want to start a ship. It's really good. Cutlass Blue, Cutlass Red buying game.
Yep, I agree with that. Defender for me, really lost a lot of its appeal. Again, it's a fighter, but again, if you like the fighter, have an exit strategy, use it now. You're cool, Algared?
I really like the Defender. It has an interior, you can do cargo missions, the box missions with it. It's the only fighter I think you really can do that with, like dedicated fighter. But it's alien, so it's pricey, so...
Dragonfly is 100% in-game. I'm not even going to let Algared speak on that one because I know he's going to say the same thing. Eclipse, Algared.
You were right. Eclipse, I'm going to say buying game.
I agree. Endeavour.
Buy now.
Yep, agree. And anyone that needs any information on that, you know why we're skipping it. Right. F7 Hornet.
F7C.
Or we can just put the whole Hornet series together. Let's just do that.
The Hornet series, buying game.
Yep. In-game, again... I'll keep saying the thing with the extra strategy. Any of these fighters that you really like, if combat's your jam, just move along. All right, Freelancer...
If you get it now, just have an exit strategy to go upwards or whatever.
Yeah, Freelancer series out. So I think the Max is probably the most popular one at the moment, just due to the cargo, yeah?
Yeah, I think the Max and the Miss are the two I hear used a lot.
I also think if you're doing any rock mining, it might be valuable for people to do that now. But again, they are pretty cheap, and you could pretty much, again, if you've got a bigger ship in game. I'm repeating myself over and over. It's like it's a mantra.
Yep.
Genesis Starliner. Algared, your thoughts?
Genesis Starliner. This is a hard one for me because the Genesis Starliner originally had so many variants and so many options with it. But we know that the Starlift has been farmed off to the Hercules. We don't know what other aspects have been farmed off.
Yeah.
I think I did like the original idea of it. So
yeah, I think it's a little bit like the Corsair. It's a bit of a gamble. So, you know, exit strategy or something below, ready to move up into it if it is any good, you know.
And you can't actually buy it in game at the moment. So if you want it, you've got to buy it now.
Yeah, a CCU that you're sitting on type of thing. Gladiator. Moist Noodle's least favorite chip. So if he's a P vs P person telling you it's bad, so for me it's definitely a getting game. Same for you, Algared?
I like the Gladiator, but given its price point, given it's really just a torpedo bomber fighter, it's probably a buying game.
I think it's the same thing with the Gladius, the Glaive, the Hawk. I think they all fall into that combat matra. You know, again, if you like it, Hawk probably a little bit separate because of the bounty hunting, if you're really into that, and we know more bounty hunting stuff's coming in this year as well, so again, you have to judge that for yourself, but again, they're all so cheap, they're all an earning game for me.
Gladius, great light fighter, but buying game. Glaive, it's a medium fighter, but it's alien, you're paying a premium price for a buying game. No, if you can, they can't. So if you want it, you've got to buy the Glaive now.
Herald data gameplay is not here yet. MSR, I think, is kind of going to be a better one for most people because you can use it for other things as well. And for me, it's definitely an earning game. It's just too cheap.
For me, because of the MSR, this is a don't even touch with a 10-foot barge pole. Sorry, Drake fans.
Yeah. Hull A and Hull B are probably going to be two of the ships that keep their value even though they are scaled off because you're just going to be able to use them all the time to go between stations and planets. And they carry a lot more cargo than other ships of their size, and their ability to land with their cargo is going to be really strong. So for me, they are actually quite a good investment again, but they're so damn cheap. Just don't even game. They're great ships, just too cheap, unfortunately.
Yep. And I think the same thing. The only reason you'd buy them now is if you were using them as an LTI token.
Yep. Hull C, D, and E. Again, for me, you got to be really into cargo, but honestly, I go straight towards the Banner Merchantman when I think that. I don't know if you feel the same.
The Hull C, while it's not available in game yet, it should be the most common ship we see because it's supposedly the most common trader. If I've read the jump point correctly, they are saying that the cab of the Hull C can actually detach, which changes it up a little bit. But
it also puts some risks in play because basically it's like leaving the back of the Endeavour behind. Yeah, now technically you can, but do you want to do that? But I think all that you're really gaining is the accessibility to go down a planet and get some food or whatever you need to get or restock.
Yeah.
And you might be able to take a little bit of the cargo you have with you, but again, there's that massive element of think about it at Hull E where the cargo costs more than the ship. Do you really want to do that?
I haven't heard the D and the E can detach. Only the C.
You kind of have.
If the C can do, I'd be thinking D and E can do it as well.
Yeah. My thoughts exactly.
It makes sense because they're mixed ships and the Endeavour's cab separates and it's a mixed ship. So there's at least a logic there for it being the case. But I think they're buying game. When they come out,
especially when there's better. I could probably be persuaded on the D and E, but when there's something like the Banner Merchantman exists, I'm sorry, but yeah, the D and E I'll let slide, and the A and B as we said, but the C is just in a really weird place where the Banner Merchantman is just the better option. But again, if you're really into cargo and it's your jam, don't let it stop you. Just cover yourself with some form of exit strategy. All right, Hurricane. Really bad place right now, but it is kind of really cool to have that two-player dynamic. If you have a friend and you're both into combat, it is really cool right now. I think it's a little overpriced, but Algared, your thoughts?
Rather than saying it's in a really bad place, I actually really like the Hurricane as a ship if you got a mate. As long as you're doing a setup that doesn't cause you to overheat. It is a great ship to fly with a mate. You can do heaps with it as long as it's combat. Combat's your jam, go for it. It probably is a bit overpriced. Have an exit strategy or buying game.
Yeah. So the Idris series, one of those ships that are really going to multiply in value long term. It is 100% a buy now for me because it's just going to take so long to earn in game. If you want it, buy it. If you can't afford it, you're just like me, then then it sucks to be us, and we're going to have to take months earning it in game, and it'll probably be an org earn, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Algared.
And while I try and teleport up to the Idris,
Yeah.
I actually think the same. The Idris is a ship that's worth buying now if you can afford it. It'll take a long time to earn in game. It's a great ship for being your enterprise for Star Trek and across the universe.
Yep. And I think the Javelin falls into the same book, yeah?
Yep. Javelin's slightly better than the Idris. It's bigger, but it is supposed to have 6 modules.
It's worse, though, too, because you only get a hull. You're not actually getting the entire ship. You're just getting the hull that you have to then go earn anyway. So, essentially, you're kind of like jumping half the queue.
Well, it's had all the military components removed.
You get what I'm trying to say, though. You get it's stripped back, and you still have to go find things to put into it.
It's stripped back. If you want to get up to military grade, you're going to have to spend a lot of time doing that.
And you'll probably need to have a lot of ships to cover it initially because it's not going to have weaponry.
I know when I got mine, the idea of getting it was specifically for giving the org purpose. Why are we doing all these missions? Is to upgrade Javelin.
Cartwal, alien ship, not a lot to do. It is 100% getting game for me.
I love the Cartwal just because it's Al. But buying game.
Not biased at all. Right. Kraken series falls under the same umbrella as the Idris and the Javelin for me. It's big, going to take ages to earn by now.
Yep.
M2 Hercules, tricky one. I think down the road when a lot more ground combat comes online, this ship might find a real place. But for me, at the moment, it is generally just cargo. So for me, it's still an earning game at the moment. And there are better ships that do cargo that are coming, like the Banner Merchantman, and they're not that far away. That's only like 12 months away. So I lean more towards something like a Banner Merchantman. Your thoughts?
I think it's in the same position as the C2. So,
okay, yep. M50, we kind of talked about that. I think that's a no-brainer. If you like racing, you do you, but again, it's so cheap buying in game.
Yep.
MPVU, I'll let you take this one.
MPVU, bonus ship if you get an Idris or a Javelin, but not worth buying now. It's a $30 ship, and it's got no quantum drive, no weapons. Don't touch it with a 10-foot barge pole.
Agreed. Merchantman, especially if you got it at last year's Invictus sale for $275. What a bargain, considering it's now $450, and it's probably going to jump again because it hasn't released. It's the cargo ship of choice for me. Your thoughts, Algared?
Cargo ship of choice for me as well. It's one of those ships that just has that appeal. It's alien, so you are paying an alien tax on that, but it does have a cargo space that's internally stored. Yeah.
Mustang series, I think this will fall under the Aurora tag. You know, if you're getting that starter pack and that's all you're getting, awesome. But deliberately buying one, probably not. Definitely.
The only one Mustang you should buy is the Mustang Alpha in a starter pack. Otherwise, get it in game. I'm
going to do a little bit unorthodox here because we've got too small. We'll just go the Nox. So again, so cheap earning game. Yep. Orion, Algared, your thoughts on the Orion?
If you are into mining and love the mining gameplay, this is the pinnacle ship for you. Buy now because it is going to go up in price.
Yeah. Also, mining has been like the pinnacle of the professions at the moment. This thing comes online. It is going to be the first full gameplay arc that we get, like going through things like the Pioneer, the Mole, and whatever ship that's not there, and then this. So if you're really into mining, this is the ship to own. I own this ship,
and
as an example.
Buying the Orion now gets you the Prospector and the Mole as a loaner ship until it's ready. So
that's a really good point. Really, really, really good point. Again, P52, P7s, so cheap. Again, just buy them in game. They're like pittance on the dollar. 100% an in-game purchase.
Or get one free with a Constellation.
There you go. Pioneer, Algared.
I do own one. but this is a ship that, unless you're really into that base building routine, unless you know you're going to be building bases all over the shop, it's a don't touch with a 10-foot barrel pole.
And you can't get LTI with it anymore. If you could get one of the originals with LTI, yeah, I'd say that's great. Get it. But it's just a really difficult ship being sub $1,000. It's like if we ever did an episode on the arguments for why to have LTI, this is the whole ship you would talk about. But yeah, for me, it's
CIG have even said when you're building, it's going to glow like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to know, hey, he's building a base. He's building a base. Come and get him.
Yeah. So
for me, it's
yeah, you're really going to want to be into that profession. But again, if that is your jam, you can buy it. I do think it will be expensive to earn in game. It is quite an expensive ship, but I think it's a ship that you're not going to use all the time, and that makes it difficult to appraise and value. It really comes down to, a personal level,
personal preference. Yeah.
Okay, Pioneer. I think this falls into the same thing as
Polaris.
Oh God, man! I did the seeing and reading thing instead of using my words. Anyway, Polaris. Same thing as the Idris and the Kraken, and that for me, smallest capital ship in the game, probably the most used capital ship because of it. I own this, so that tells you what I think.
This is a buy now if you can get it. I think it's going to go up in price again. Certainly before it comes out. It is the smallest capital ship. It does have space for a fighter. It has all the amenities that are similar to what a Carrick has, but it's got pew and it's got torpedoes. What's not to like? Buy it now if you can.
The Prospector. So this is one of those ships I was talking about that are cheap, but if you're into mining, man, just buy it. Like, it's a no-brainer if you're into mining. Again, they are still relatively cheap in game, but you can always have an exit strategy. You can always use it as a leapfrog CCU to get to something bigger and test that out along the way. Again, as Algared mentioned, there are other bigger ships you can buy that gives you this as a loaner. But that gameplay is in right now. So, yeah. Your thoughts, Algared?
Absolutely. No, you said it all.
Yep. Prowler, 100% in game for me. I've mentioned the ship so many times, it's overpriced as shit to the cows come home. It is one of the worst. And yeah, I can see in the comments already people saying, oh, they're changing the prices. Yeah, but I think that's why, because it's really bad price-wise.
Yeah. At the moment, yes. It's a lovely ship, but at the price, buying game. It's not worth it.
Razer Series, I think this falls under a similar thing as the M50 and stuff like that because it's a racer. If you're into racing, it's your jam, go nuts. But for me, it's definitely an earning game.
It's the only reason you'd buy these if you can have them with LTI and you're using them as LTI tokens. Otherwise, like you said, too cheap, buy it in game.
Reclaimer is in a really shit spot right now. We just had the PTU come online with ship-to-station docking, and it doesn't work because it has a different size docking port. And I'm really mad because I love this ship and I love flying it all the time. But I can't because of the way... So this is the most shitted on ship at the moment, in my personal opinion. But that said, when we get some salvage gameplay coming online, then that ship would be great. Again, I got it at a cheaper $350 price. It has jumped a bit. I don't think it's going to jump again, so I think it's really is one of those ships you can sit and wait, and when that gameplay comes online, then buy it. So for me, I honestly, it's an earning game at the moment.
I can't remember the loaner ships for Reclaimer. I think you'll find that it's a Vulcan and possibly a Vulture.
Yes.
When they come, but but since those ships aren't in game at the moment either, I think that's... So I can't tell you what the loaners are going to be, but I expect... no, you won't get any loaners. It's in game already. What a Gumby.
No, you will get those loaners. No, they've actually said...
because the Reclaimer's in game.
No, they've actually said that when the professions come online, they will give you the Vulture as... the Vulture as a loaner. So you can actually experience the gameplay. So they've done that with other ships.
Because the claw's not working.
So that might be a reason to buy it now. But again, you don't have to buy it now. You could just literally get the Vulture and then see if that's a thing for you, then upgrade into the Reclaimer. Because again, the Reclaimer's not going to really change your price. Really interesting one.
It's available in game.
Really interesting one because it's in a really weird place compared to other ships. So yeah. Redeemer, again, combat would really have to be your jam. For me, it's probably an earning game. It might take you a little longer than other ships to earn, but for me, you could go either way there.
Based on even the discussion in the FMM we did yesterday, which, as you said, is going to drop this week, It could be a daily driver type ship for you. I think it's slightly overpriced. We don't really know what it's going to be like, but
all combat ships are overpriced, Algared, so I totally agree. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of I think all the ships are overpriced, but so I think this one's kind of take your pick.
Yeah, you got to know what you're into. Always take your own tailored advice. Reliant Series, for me, 100% earning game.
Yep, earning game. I think there are better starter ships than the Reliant, so biting game.
Retaliator base and bomber. For me, I would actually consider the Retaliator base a buy now. The bomber is an earning game, mainly because the loaner for the base is the bomber. And quite honestly, the base is all you're going to be in need. You're paying a lot of extra money for a module. So that's my stance.
And you actually can't normally get the bomber readily available, whereas I don't think I'm not sure the base is readily available. I can't remember, but for me, the price difference does make it worthwhile getting in game. But buying now, but it's cheap. Buy it, earn it in game.
SRV, no gameplay right now. It's relatively cheap. That's an earning game when it's available. 100%.
Yeah. So if you want one now, you've got to buy it because it's not in game.
Yeah. Saber, Algared.
I know people love the Saber to fly. It's a combat ship for me. I'm not really a fighter jock. For me, it's a buying game.
But if it is your jam, for me, it's an earning game as well. But if it is your jam, feel free.
Just have an exit strategy in case you want to go up. Santoki, exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly the same. Alien tax on top of that, and I think we can go on to the next one and say exactly the same thing as well. Alien tax.
Scythe is not available. It's one of those really limited ships. Only ever sold once. The only way to get it is with those super expensive packs.
And black market or grey market, and it's way too expensive for what it is. So you also compare the ship off against other ships that are in the game, and quite honestly, it's maybe about $160 ship. It's not as good as a Hornet, Super Hornet rather. So you got to take that.
Yeah, and if you look at the lore, the Super Hornet was made to actually counter the Scythe.
Yes.
The Scythe, unless you're getting it in one of those super packs, unless you got one originally, this is a don't touch with a 10-foot barge pole.
We really need to speed this up. I did not think this episode would be this long. I apologize in advance. Right. So we've got
Starfarer.
So for me, that gameplay is coming. When it's there, it could be absolutely golden. For me, you can go either way, but I think it's a buy now when that gameplay comes online.
Yep. I think it's a buy now. It's a mini Hercules.
Yeah. Terrapin for me, I'm leaning more towards the overpriced scenario. You can, if you had a bigger ship, say like a Carrick, it's going to do the same thing. So take the Carrick. Algared?
Yep. Does fit into an 890, but buying game.
Vanguard series, some of these are going to have some really interesting gameplays, especially with things like the Sentinel and stuff like that. But there's just no gameplay at the moment. Your loners are other things. Vancade's got some really weird guns. Again, your jam, you do you, but for me, it's an earning game.
Yep, I think earning game, or don't touch it with a 10-foot barge pole.
Let's chuck these two in together, the Vulcan and the Vulture. For me, they're an earning game, or have the bigger ship that gives you it as a loner.
Yep.
X1, that's a joke. It's an in-game, 100%. Carrick, Algared.
Carrick's a bit harder because it's recently jumped up in price so much, but if you're into exploration, this is probably a ship worth buying now. Yeah.
And there are people using it as their daily driver right now.
That's right. I use it as a daily driver. And if you do buy it, you do get a C8 and you do get an Ursa. So.
Yep. So, yeah, you do you in that case. The Mole, either way. It's in-game right now. You're going to get some good functionality out of it. So I've got 100% see this as a thing you pick up with, say, two mates, and you guys go out and mine to your heart's content. It's one of the few ships that have got a lot of gameplay behind it. So I have no problem with someone picking up the Mole now.
If you're wanting to pick up a Mole now and you're looking at paying cash, consider paying the extra to get the Orion and get the Mole and the Prospector as owners.
That's a good idea too. Hammerhead, good in the game right now. Got some really good combat, especially with the big events coming up. But the ship itself is in a garbage place. It is really overpriced. I have a Polaris. I have a Hammerhead as a loner. That's what I suggest. Algared.
Yeah, look, I think in the long run, Hammerhead will be one of those ships that anyone who's doing escort will want to escort their fleets as an anti-fighter platform. But it's an earning game. It's not a buy now just because of the value in terms of money.
Really overpriced. All right, Mercury Starliner. Hey, we're at the end of the list. I can see the end at the end of the tunnel, Algared. We're almost there.
Tunnel.
Right, so
wait.
MSR. Yeah, MSR really good at the moment. Still waiting for that function of data running to come on. I can see it being used now. It's got some good combat potential and cargo potential. For me, you can buy it now.
I think it's a really great daily driver, depending on where you sit. Like we were talking in the FMF episode that's dropping later this week. Obviously, you guys really need to watch that episode. Chops.
Plug. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you're someone who's into just merchant trading and not really into combat, this is a one for you. It's going to have to do Inforunner, it's going to do the cargo, but it's not really a combat specialist.
All right, and then we've got the Valkyrie. Really good functionality in game right now. So that is I've actually got one that I upgraded to just to get the skin, and I've been using it a little bit. It's got I believe it's got one of the faster engines in it as well. So I use mine to go between planets a lot because it's very quick. But if you're into that ground gameplay, you got any org stuff going along, I can totally get behind people wanting to buy it right now.
It does have a lot of functionality. But yeah, for me, it's either. Take your pick.
Yep. The Arrow, really good spot right now, PVSP wise. So I can see people picking it up right now. An exit strategy is something bigger down the line. Algared?
Yep. It's cheap enough to buy now, but have an exit strategy.
Mantis for me, God, I hear things about it improving and stuff like that, but this ship is just in such a bad place for me. It's an earning game.
Even though it's RSI, even though it has a gorgeous viewpoint, the gameplay is just not there. Its PvP ability is lacking. Earning game.
Starter ship falls under the same things as the Mustang and the Aurora, so it's an earning game or get it in your package. Algared?
Yep. If you're buying a starter ship and you're looking at that kind of beginner level, this is probably the best of those because it has the same armaments. I think the Aurora will trump Pisces any day of the week in terms of armaments, but it does more cargo and it can carry people.
Ares for me, they're really not going to come to bear until we can actually have capital ships in game. So even if you're into combat right now, I can't get behind it as in a buy now. Maybe an upgrade into or buy once that gameplay comes online. But at the moment, Ares are really overpriced what they are as well. So for me, it's a wait. I don't know, because you can't buy now, but I wouldn't recommend buying it now either. So that's a really tough one.
I wouldn't recommend buying it now in terms of paying cash for it. But if you are someone who does think they're going to love that Ares Ion or Inferno, have a CCU for it because it's not in game yet. We know it's going to increase in price.
100%. So yeah, if you want to lock in that price, Algared's right, pick up a CCU. Yeah, it's a really good call. Nautilus. Now for me, this ship is going to be really valuable for anyone that's doing any type of fleet work. And what I mean by that is like, so if you're out doing a mining operation or doing a salvaging operation, setting up an area that it can secure and lock down, and the ship doesn't even need to be there. So you can go out ahead. So say it's just you and your reclaimer, you can go out, drop down a bunch of mines and some sentries and come back with just a reclaimer. At least then you got a little bit of protection. So me, this ship is not the ship itself. It's just its passive ability. Again, being a ship that's not out. Again, being a ship that is fairly large. It is 100% a buy now for me.
And again, same thing as I said with the Ares. It's not out yet. If you think it's going to be a jam but you're not sure, lock in a CCU to
100%.
or get a CCU to lock in that price because it will go up.
Yeah. The Talon and Shrike, Algared. I think you know where I'm going to stand on that, so I'll let you answer for me.
Talon and Shrike, very similar to the Arrow in terms of combat and maneuverability. Really in a nice place, but the price point, buying game would be my option.
That said, the Talon is the ship of the meta at the moment. A lot of PvSPs are using it. So again, if you feel justified in playing it right now, I can see an argument for a buy now, but again, it has
Yep.
to be your jam. But Algared, as I say, like Algared, they're so cheap. If you're not doing PvSP, it's an earning game. But I can see an argument for a buy now.
And if you do buy it now, have an exit strategy to something else.
That's right. Garbage. Anything else you would like to say about it?
No. I think this is the worst ship in game.
Yeah.
Worst value.
Yeah.
The only time it had value was when it was a starter pack in concept.
Yep. And that's it. The combo pack that it had at the sale last year.
Yep.
There is just so much better ships. Like even the Hull A. It's cheaper. It does way more. It does basically the same thing. It just doesn't have as many. I don't understand why the Nomad exists, but I digress. We'll move on.
What is the key thing the Nomad does? It carries a Nomad.
Yep.
For $20 more, you can have a Cutlass Black that can carry 2.
Yep.
And has better armaments.
Oh, you mean
better missile launch.
You mean carry a rock? But I know what you meant. You said carry a Nomad. It can't carry itself. But I get what you meant.
Yeah.
I get what you meant.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. Perseus.
Perseus
for me falls into the same price range as the Hammerhead. And quite honestly, just Polaris or Nautilus. Algared.
Look, for me, if you can get the Perseus via CCUs really cheaply, then it's a ship that you can possibly consider getting now. I think that the Hammerhead and the Perseus are probably 2 ships that are really perfect for escorting or attacking convoys. Hammerhead because it does anti-fighters, Perseus because it does anti-large ships. I can't see capital ships attacking cargo or attacking convoys, but a Perseus certainly. Yeah, it's a large ship certainly.
It's an earning game for me though. Ballista, I think. Let's just put the next 5. Let's just put all the ones right down to the Rock DS together because they're all vehicles. So Ballista, Cyclone Series, Nova, PT, Ranger Series, Ursus, G12, and the Rock DS. That's where I'm going. All those vehicles. They're earning game. They're so bloody cheap. Earn them in game. It's ridiculous to chuck money at them when you can chuck money at something that's bigger and better.
A G12 you get with a 600i. The Ursa you get with a Aquila and currently with a Carrick and a Phoenix, even though the Phoenix technically gets a Lynx, but the Lynx isn't available, so you get the Ursa.
You're only ever going to earn $5 or $10 savings with a vehicle on the ones that are not re-released either. So if you're looking at CCU chaining, yes, you could save a little bit of money there. That's the only reason at all I could think about earning them. If you like them now and you do like them in game, again, they're so bloody cheap. Earn them in game. You've got something to work for in game there.
Yeah, look, the Rock is dirt cheap to earn in game. It took me less than a fortnight to earn a Rock in game in an Aurora. So, need I say more?
Saber Raven, can't buy this anymore. Can't buy it in game. So, null and void. And it's the same thing for the next one. Both Algared and I own both of them, and it sucks to be you if you don't have them. So, but yeah.
Pretty much.
The Raven's in a really weird spot anyway. I think it needs another pass. And the Mustang, well, it's just a racing variant.
Mustang Omega has the best skin. That's about it.
Yeah. If you own either of these two, you know why you own them, and it's generally because they're rare. Alrighty then, that is everything, and that took way longer than I thought it was going to take. We're up to 48 minutes. This is a huge episode. Woo-hoo! I apologize in advance. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, remember #Jaden. If you're looking to win yourself an F7 upgrade, unfortunately Eric Lanza passed away, and his mate's looking for a new home for his ship. So be subscribed. #Jaden in your comment below. Please let us know any of your thoughts in the ones below. But remember, this is a very opinionated list. It is going to come down to a personal opinion, and I've tried to keep it as open-ended as possible and say, if you like it, you do you. Again, just
And I think for a lot of ships, as we were saying lots of times in the episode, have an exit strategy.
Yep.
If you're someone who doesn't mind spending the cash and likes having everything, then it doesn't matter. But if you're someone who's really trying to get the best bang for your buck, then some of these ships are just not worth it.
Yeah.
And I think the Hammerhead and the Hammerhead and Perseus, I actually think everyone who's a cargo hauler or convoy runner or wanting to attack those really wants those ships in their fleet, but they're just not worth buying now.
And the other thing is you could always hire someone else to help you do that as well. So Again, I'm just going to go over these housekeeping things again. I am looking for an Australian lawyer that is into Star Citizen. I really need to pick their brain for a show. I've also managed to find a geologist and a miner, so look forward to an episode that was similar to that one as well. Anything you want to add, Algared, before we sign off?
Leave your comments below. Remember, be respectful. Look out for each other. Don't forget, you can also join us, become a Patreon. We love Patreons. They help us a lot, but we never expect
literally make this show possible. I'm getting an upgrade this week that I wouldn't have been able to do without them. So again, like, subscribe, all that type of jazz. Hope you guys enjoyed this list. It's something a little different, and it is a little bit of a debate topic. I can tell you now. I've been getting messages. So let us know your thoughts below. All right, he's been Algared, I've been Execute, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Take care.